maybe there's some ego, like they're good at it, like, hey man, let's get the band back together. I want to fucking shred, and like rob a bank.
Well, I think that,
right. Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.
All right. Welcome to One Fucking Hour, everybody. I am Evan Husney, joined, of course, to my left, Tom Fitzgerald. Tom.
Howdy.
And to my right, Marcus Herring. Marcus, what's up?
Hey, guys. I'm a little under the weather for this one, but
all right.
I think this movie's so good, I'm going to be able to pull it off, maybe. Hopefully.
Muscle
Fingers
through.
crossed.
All right.
Man.
All right. Well, yeah, this week's episode is on the 1978 film Straight Time, starring Dustin Hoffman. And let's start that clock.
Oh, no, the clock.
All right.
Just once again, an hour's not enough.
All right, here we go. One Fucking Hour starts now. All right, I'm going to kick this one off. So, guys, this movie, to me, I saw this probably for the first time 15 or 16 years ago when I worked at a video store. It was actually a colleague who recommended it. Just come out on DVD, I think, for the first time. I took it home, and I fucking loved it. To me, it's a 6-star movie, as we say here. This is a masterpiece in every sense of the word. It's been on my top 10, if there is one, since like ever since I saw it 15 years ago. I'm such a super fan of this movie that I even have my my first edition hardcover of the source material that this film is based on, which is No Beast So Fierce by Edward Bunker.
Wow, that's amazing.
And shelled out for it, had to. And I think that the secret ingredient of why this movie is so amazing is the source material and the author. And for those who don't know, Edward Bunker is kind of one of these, career criminal guys. He's been in and out of prison almost his entire life, and then he became a writer, and he started writing crime fiction geared towards criminals. Like, he wanted to portray the underworld of crime in the most authentic way possible, because he felt it wasn't represented in movies and in books and in novels. And I think that's really what his work achieves the most. And I think that, having him, which, and they brought Edward Bunker in as a consultant to the film. He's on set working with the actors, and the dialogue obviously helped on the script. And I think because he brings that real world street authenticity to this movie, that's what really, for me at least, puts it over the edge and makes it unlike anything around in that time. I don't know if you'd agree, but Tom, tell us a little bit about your relationship to Straight Time.
Well, I agree with you on all fronts. It's definitely if it ain't a top 5, it's a top 10. I mean, it's a major film for me too. I mean, I'm just sounding hyperbolic here immediately, but just what I mean is, I never get tired of it. I never go, I don't know if I want to. I just go, I'm starting it, and I'm doing 90 minutes. And I love every second of it, all the nuance. It feels very comfortable, and it's an easy film. It's so captivating, and there's a few factors. Like you said, Bunker, absolutely, his input and the authenticity that he brings to it. You can't find a screenwriter to do that. It just won't happen. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But it's not just also the authenticity, kind of like, this is the way shit like this goes down, the nuance and everything, or this is the lingo that people use. It's also, as we'll talk more, it's the anecdotes, the things that really happened, because like life, life ain't movies. Let's just put it that way. What I'm saying is, the anecdotes of this film ring so true to me because they're messy, like kind of any endeavor that any of us human beings make. They're committing crimes, but it has that messiness, like, oh Christ, this thing went to hell fast, and like, this is how it went to hell, and this guy left me hanging, and like, all the hassles and all the complications that make it almost like a melancholy comedy in some way. Not
obstacles.
That this film is. Yeah, and just like life getting in the way. He might have a great plan for a robbery, and I think we have. I'm going with this, a really great scene to illustrate exactly what I'm getting at. It's almost comical, and it's almost tragic, in some combination of just being alive and doing things, anything. And it just so happens that these are criminals, and they have a lot more pressure on them than our day to day. You know what I mean? And the stakes are higher. So it's just immediately captivating me because it doesn't feel like a documentary. This film does not feel like a documentary at all.
No,
it's not.
No.
It's not verite. So it's a very unique animal. It's like it rings really true, and it feels lived in, and it feels right, and they use natural settings beautifully. Big, ugly 1978 Los Angeles in your setting. You know what I mean? Just a hellhole. I grew up. I was born and raised in Long Beach, so I really get it. You know what I mean? Late 70s, Southern California.
Yeah, it is one of those movies like where, if you live in LA, it's beautiful to look at and see like the old school LA and look through like all the lights, and there's all this kind of green glow to the lights, and there's a lot of beautiful green in the movie. I was like, did they even use Fuji print? I'm not sure, but anyway, with LA, it's one of those movies where like if you live in LA, or if you have lived in LA, the enjoyment of it grows because you get to kind of like peek around, and I do love that kind of movie.
Yeah, and so Straight Time obviously being about Dustin Hoffman too, which is another ingredient in the authenticity. I think, for my money, I think this is his best performance in any movie, and I think he's just absolutely amazing in it. The thing about
Agreed.
it is that in this film, and I think also the book, No Beast So Fierce, I think, which I actually looked into, and not to sound pretentious, but it's from Richard III. It's a quote from from the play, and there's a line where he says, "No beast so fierce, but knows some touch of pity." And I sounding really pretentious now, but the thing is, quoting Shakespeare on One Fucking Hour, but the thing is that I think that's a key thing to this whole movie, is that it is about the dehumanization of a criminal, and how someone is beaten down by the system, and this is what we're going to get into. Someone and the idea of going straight and coming out into this open world, but the system has beaten you down since you were a kid, and now you're trying to exist on the outside. And it's impossible, and the system has rendered you not a human. They've removed that away from you, and they're treating you like an animal. But even all at the core of that, you still are a human, and that's what we find out in this movie, of course, at the end, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But that's, I think, what's really special about this movie, is it really hammers that home, and it really humanizes the life of a criminal, which is what
let's not forget. That's a good point. I mean, our lead character is a criminal. He's not like a murdering rapist or anything like that. He's into petty larcenies and holdups and whatnot, but he is a criminal. And you're right. I think we could go right now into the dance that he does with one of the other main characters. This other character representing the system, and the thing for me, it's his parole officer, played beautifully by Emmett Walsh. But I think what it gets for me is in Emmett Walsh, it's that kind of grotesque pettiness of pecking orders, meaning Emmett Walsh, the parole officer in the film, he's a nobody, he's a loser, he probably doesn't make much money, he's not loving life that much, he's probably finding petty cheap thrills, a little gambling, a prostitute here, that kind of thing. Yeah. He's not killing it, is what I'm saying. He's not living his best life, as they say. Sorry, but just no. So he takes it out on people who are below him. There's no other reason that he would treat Dustin so poorly. Dustin's never done anything to him. He's not the Night Stalker. He's just some guy. But he's like, hey, I'm sadistic. I can fuck with this guy. He can't fight back, and it's kind of fun. He's sadistic, and he plays mind games, and he plays with the power. The little bit of power that this parole officer has, because he's also in the system. That's what I
think. Exactly. And queuing up the scene. So let's take a look at it. And this is,
let's some context.
Yeah, some context. Dustin Hoffman's getting out of jail for burglary, and he's now on parole. And Emmett Walsh, as you said, is his parole officer. And he's been fucking with him. And here's where it kind of goes to a head here. So shall we?
What's this?
So this is where he finds
I know that.
Basically just matches
your shirt. I want to see your
in his room.
The whole all of them are burned out, which hints at like cooking up heroin.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's not like it's burned out with no matches or anything. It's just they all went at the same time. So it's his clue. And spoiler alert, kidding. But like, his friend, Dustin's friend, came over and he did light up and do heroin in his fucking room. And he said, like, man, you're going to get me in the fucking hole, dude, by doing that. And sure enough, Emmett's sharp. It's not his first rodeo. And he sees that burnout whole book of matches.
Yeah, and that's what happens here. He's checking for tracks, and then, obviously there's just not enough evidence, I think, to bring somebody in. But, of course, he brings him in for a drug test. And then
brings him in anyway.
Brings him in anyway, and then leaves him in the jail cell for days.
Like an animal.
Sure. Yeah, like an animal. And he's got a date tonight. He's trying to reassimilate, and then he brings him right back into the system.
Emmett's got a great look, by the way.
He's great in everything.
Emmett's an amazing actor, but that look.
Actually, the first major actor I ever met when I was like 13 years old was Emmett.
He's a great character actor. Emmett rules, man. No, and like his lapels and his sideburns are like duking it out for dominance.
Yeah. To me, I feel like he represents. He makes a racist comment. And he's obviously he deals with criminals all the time. He takes a hard line with criminals. I feel like he represents sort of like this, like a right. He's like very right wing kind of like, criminals deserve to be in jail.
Yeah.
And he's painted as a racist, and I find it really interesting that he's not like. He's not given any sort of path of redemption. Like once we leave that character, we don't come back to them. And I feel like in a modern movie, like that character might have a second act where, like, he reveals another side of himself, and we find some sort of sympathy with him. And then I'm thinking like kind of like a Tommy Lee Jones in like The Fugitive or something, where like he has to track him down, and they come to an understanding. But I feel like this movie doesn't do that. And I think that it's sort of one of the amazing things is that like Dustin Hoffman is like tries to participate in the system to set himself straight, right? But the world is like he's unable to participate in it, and so he actually finds freedom in rebellion from the system, and I don't know. I just think like so I'm a little sick, but
right.
You guys pick it up from there.
Hang in there, man.
Amen, brother. I think
hang in there, brother. I don't know. I think he's just a sadistic douchebag. I don't think he has any compass of any kind of belief system. He just screams to me just a cynical, sadistic douchebag. Just nothing else. Just zero. He doesn't care either way.
No, and he's trying to find
it's
anything
like
again.
It's like working at a dog pound and you beat up the dogs. It's just sadism. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just
totally
power. Yeah.
And it's like, and here's all these things like, Max Dembo is the name of the character, Dustin Hoffman's character. And Max, getting out of prison and he's being faced with all of these challenges. Like, he's trying to reassimilate into society, but he has to be at the halfway house, or he can't drive, or there's a lot of these things, these obstacles that he can't do. Nothing is letting him be free after he served his time, and so I think that's kind of the thing that in the source material, that's what's kind of being shown, and in the film is like, here's all these things that are these obstacles that are in your way, preventing you from rejoining society.
Even just getting
that's
employment.
What I'm getting at is that society grants you that freedom as long as you're able to participate in it. But like if you're an ex-con or something, you're not able to participate because there's so many roadblocks.
Right.
So
just getting a job,
basically. Just like society's not able to even grant him the freedoms that we're like the normies like enjoy, so he has to like reach out and take it for himself, and that's the message I got from the film.
Yeah, for sure. I think another message in the movie, this just popped into my head. We're bouncing around, but one of the best so many great actors and great performances in this movie. Well, I mean Teresa Russell too as the love interest. She's so good.
That was, I know she seems so advanced for her years. I mean, I believe it's not quite her first film, but it's her first big role, And she was maybe like 19, and I read a little about her. She was very precocious. She was kind of like emancipated at like 15 or something, and moved in with her boyfriend, which is weirdly what my sister did too. It's like a very 70s kind of thing, like leaving school, leaving the parents, and I'm going to grow up. And being at 19, and maybe in 1978, it means something differently than what people might think before or even after this period. And so she was very mature for her age, and that performance was very impressive. So you're right, there's her, and then there's some other folks, in the cast that we're big fans of, and I guess we can do that. But if we can circle back,
Sure.
Mr. Evan, we were talking about sort of fumbling to try to figure out how to say it, but like the sort of random, cosmic joke of all life and how it manifests for a petty criminal. And there's this great scene that we love where in the narrative, he, breaks from parole, let's just say, and he goes back to a life of crime. I wouldn't say he's rusty, but he's getting his sea legs, and doesn't go very smoothly. But boy, does it feel like this happened probably to Bunker or his friend, and to lots of career criminals over the years. You can even see these on closed circuit cams now, these kinds of fumbling stick-ups. So here's a great scene in the film.
Okay, here we go. So set us up here. This is a scene where this is his first crime he's committing, really, since he
parole, breaking parole.
Yeah, breaking parole, yeah. And he gets a shitty gun from some dude in a nightclub.
Right, shitty gun in a nightclub. He needs cash.
Yeah.
It's almost like he needs to invest. It's almost like he just needs this cash to invest in another crime, the bigger one later. You know what I mean? He needs to get the ball rolling. That's incredible.
Amazing.
I got to do that sometime.
And the shirt.
Take it easy, you won't get hurt.
All right, here we are. So, first problem. Are we able to communicate here?
Does he speak English? Better tell him to open the register.
Okay, so he's an interpreter. That's always good for a quick stick up, right?
Shut up! Open it. You feel that? You feel that? Open it.
Yeah, that's a great look. It'd be a good Halloween costume. Dustin?
Yeah, totally.
Such a cool look.
So
okay, so here we go. So he doesn't look like a cool criminal right now. Smooth criminal, so to speak.
No, definitely not.
Oh, here we go. Okay, all right. All right, hold on. Hey, hold on a second. Let me put the bullet in the gun. All right,
Yeah.
Okay. Let's keep with the stick up.
And that's one of the things that you mentioned when we were talking about doing this as an episode. You're like, oh, the bullet falling? Like that was a detail for you.
I know. It's just it's a great little anecdote, and it's perfectly done. And Dustin, Dustin is, man, one of the most nervous actors ever. I just watched Marathon Man again, and not so much. He's pretty sort of catatonic in The Graduate, but boy, can he get nerved up. He can get really nervy and fussy. And this is a good example. This is some killer, fussy, nervy Dustin.
But he also can get like really scary in this. He gets kind of scary in this movie too, like towards the end with Busey. I'm sure we'll talk about. But like he really, I think in this film is really inhabiting this character. I mean, I don't know. I think it's an incredible performance in this movie.
Definitely, there's definite range to it. It's so great. A lot of American movies like focus on like the cop. A cop's the hero, and if we do see criminals, they're always like these ghouls or monsters, or maybe there's even like a criminal that's like got a redemptive quality, who's like, Robin Hood or something. He's like robbing the rich to feed the poor. But this movie feels like we identify with him on a human level, like humanistic, and I don't know. It's pretty powerful.
What's funny is just abstracted somewhat from the source material of Bunker's book. Mm-hmm. Just it's just generally speaking career criminals. And there's a visualization of just how much he's been in the system for how much of his life at the end of the film, and it just hit me that it is analogous to Charles Manson's life. Not to get it all like ooh Manson,
100%.
but it's 100%. Because Manson. So I don't know. I'm not sure what the math is, but I think that Manson was free and not locked up in some way only for less than 20 years his whole life, and he died when he was like 80. You know what I'm saying? So meaning he tried to steal a car at 13 or something, juvie hall, something else happened. He did a lot of years, then he's out. The Manson family happens, and then he goes back into jail. So he mostly was in jail his whole life, and he's not unlike Dustin's character in that sense. And what that
He actually
does to them,
expresses that to Teresa, saying like, a lot of guys feel more scared on the outside than the inside.
yeah, exactly, more used to it, and all. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great line and a good call there, Marcus. Because I guess what I'm saying is I can't relate to it, and a lot of us can't. You know what I mean? But he is giving us a window into someone who's, even if they're not in jail, they're in some kind of fucked up headspace. In or out of jail.
Totally. And you were talking about like the final shots of the movie, which, is this amazing montage of just the different Max Dembo, mug shots from over the times he spent,
going in, down in age. Yeah.
Right. And of course there are these great younger photographs of Dustin Hoffman they use. But I just wanted to throw this back, not to bring my awesome book back again, but the back of the book also has that with Bunker, so that's taken like directly from the book that he also, again, all his mugshots. So that's kind of a cool throwback there.
That's really cool. Thanks for flipping the book. I didn't know the back.
Totally.
But now that gets into another thing that kind of captured my interest, and we talked about a little bit, is and we introduce another character in the film and another fine performance.
Oh yeah.
There's this other thing that's unrelatable. I'm speaking for myself about the life and mind of a criminal, but his good buddy is portrayed by Harry Dean Stanton. Everyone's favorite Harry Dean Stanton, who does, that's a great role. And to the point,
and the name of his character is Jerry Shue. Don't forget that, but go on.
Oh, how could I? Yeah, no. And so Jerry Shue, while Dustin's been locked up, has gone straight, and he works at some dumb job, some warehouse job, and he has a wife like in Studio City, like a tract home next to like the freeway kind of thing. And, and he's got a life. He's got a straight life. He's doing straight time. And it's funny because you meet him and he's in that context, you don't know who, Dustin's friend here is exactly like, maybe he went straight, maybe it worked. But then immediately when the wife walks out from the three of them having a chat, the first thing Harry says is, "You got to get me fucking out of here, man. I can't do this. I can't do this." And he's saying like, "I can't do this jive, like suburban life thing." And he's like, "I know you got something, man. I know you got something." And he's just itching for it. So what I'm trying to say is there's this other thing that you have seen represented somewhat where crime for a lot of these guys can be, for lack of a better word, sexy. And it's exciting. And they just fucking enjoy it. I won't say that about Dustin. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think there's a few things going on. That's definitely part of it, the danger thing. But maybe there's some ego, like they're good at it. Like, hey man, let's get the band back together. I want to fucking shred, and like rob a bank.
Well, I think that,
right.
Well, were you going to say something, Marcus? I didn't want to cut you off.
Oh no, I was just thinking about because Harry Dean Stanton keeps saying like he's a professional and like this is so unprofessional. So he definitely views that as his avocation in life is that he's a really good criminal, a professional criminal.
He looks like he's good at it. It's just compared to Dustin though, who's really slipping. That's the thing.
Well, the thing is that Well, Dustin, I think when he breaks parole and his life starts to fall apart again. Because he has the relationship developing with Teresa Russell on the job and all that stuff. And we're going to circle back to Harry Dean here in a second. But the thing of that, having all that and it being taken away, I think that the downward spiral of Dustin's character as this movie progresses, like his energy, is so manic, and it's so reckless and it's so, just like compulsive. There's a real compulsion there,
Great word.
And that's
great word.
That's what. Yeah, and that too. But that's also what develops. It's just like I'm on this course and I can't be taken off of it. And fuck anyone who's going to step in, in my way until it gets too late.
Right. I know it's like half his mistakes come from rushing it. Right. Like, well, we'll just fuck it. We'll just do it anyway. Even though the plan's not going correctly, we're just gonna do it anyway. And the other half is from taking too long. Like once he's in the crime, he's like, all right, I'm gonna spend extra long in here.
Right. Well, he's sloppy. Well, but I think there's some actual, and we'll maybe play the clip. Maybe we'll do this kind of backwards, or I'll be introducing this next clip. There's a particular.
I can tell Evan's dying to say something.
I'm dying.
Okay.
I gotta get this one thing in just real quick. What you were saying about how he's being too fast or he's being too slow. There's something really interesting I noticed on this viewing of the movie, which I watched again, finished today. is when he's interviewing for the job, when Dustin Hoffman's interviewing to get the job with Teresa Russell, that scene where they meet for the first time. I never noticed this. And she gives him the test on the typewriter, and he's like, and he's typing away at the typewriter. She goes, time's up. And he's just, and he keeps going. And that's kind of this really smart little detail they put in the script.
Right.
Because that's obviously going to be a theme later on, is that he doesn't fucking listen to when time's up. It's going to be like us with this episode, but like time's up,
it's true.
off the typewriter.
That's true.
Anyway, sorry.
It's like, hey, Dustin, you've got 3 fucking minutes to finish this jewelry heist. Well, no, we're all talking.
There's that aspect of the time too. Yeah,
but I think there's something.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's something even weird. There's a particularly weird thing that he's going through in the final heist, which we have a clip of. We'll play that after I blab here. But what I mean is, there is some particular significance to that heist. He's not just being greedy. He's not like, we were allotting ourselves 3 minutes exactly, and Harry Stanton is a stopwatch, because at 3 minutes, door, out, back, go into the getaway car. And they're slipping. It's like 3:50, 4 minutes, 4:10. It's terrible. No, but what Dustin's doing in the narrative of the film is that they're at a jewelry store that he and his girlfriend, Teresa Russell, were casing out. Like, what's going on here? The security cams, and he's casing the joint. And Teresa didn't really care about the jewelry so much, but he wanted her to like a piece of jewelry that he gave her. And he did wind up giving her a piece of jewelry. So he's kind of looking for this piece of jewelry in the middle of this heist that he had the impression that she kind of liked, and she looked at a little longer. He really wanted to find it so he could give it to her and do the boyfriend to the girlfriend kind of thing. And because that's the kind of normal life that he does want.
He's got the humanity. He has the humanity.
Yeah, he wants to be with her. But what's really grotesque about the circumstance, though, is he's looking for jewelry, often white, shiny, clear jewelry in amongst broken glass. So that also is going back to my thing of like really pitch black comedy almost. You know what I mean? If you really just look at it objectively, like he's fishing around in broken glass for not jewelry, but the jewelry that he thinks that she kind of might have liked a little bit. And it's extra. I don't know if the word's tragic, but it's like,
very tragic.
It's just it's his neurosis, and it's manifesting, and it's what you were saying about the typing. Right. I think that there's partly that making it for lost time thing. Totally. You know what I mean? The word time does apply, but so there's some incredible. If we do cue up that clip, there's some incredible tension.
Yeah, because when he cases the joint with her, we don't actually get to see a close-up shot of the jewelry that they're looking at, right? So it's like kind of like. But he's fixating on it.
Yeah, but he knows
crime. Yeah. So right, he does. But as the audience, we're going like, "What are you doing? Just get out of there!" It helps underscore that
he's not just
the insanity of what he's doing.
No,
we didn't focus on it.
No, he's wasting time, not just grabbing handfuls. He starts really getting into the weeds here, and it's like he says to one of the clerks at the jewelry store, like, "There was one here. It was like that," and it's like, and then he never finds it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost like he's shopping halfway through. Yeah,
it's so hard to watch.
No, it's almost like he starts shopping for it. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, he's compulsive, and really, and just to really get into the weeds here, he wants her to love him.
Yes.
Because that is the only thing that had worked at all, maybe in like the past 20 years, is like they're bedding down for a few days. And he did want that to work. Not to get a job or anything like that, but he wants to run away with her. And he thinks that something like that would matter to her, but she's not that kind of gal, And so he's wrong that way. But also he's externalizing things. The love that he can give her is that piece of jewelry,
right?
And he can't find it. He doesn't care about doing time right then. He doesn't care about dying right then. He doesn't care about his identity right then. He wants to find his love in the broken glass to give it to her. There's an incredibly irrational behavior. So let's check out the scene. Oh, we're seeing it. Whoops. Yeah. So that's what's happening. And he's really... And there's incredible Fitzing Dustin in this scene, Look at this. And again, what I'm saying is, yeah, he's stealing, but look at him. He's looking and throwing things back. The person's not well. He's not well.
Is this where the trope of like the timing out a crime came from? You know, we've seen it so many times in the movies when they're like 30 seconds.
No.
20 seconds, and they do it.
About that. Yeah.
No. This is in other movies, I don't know, but I mean, they had bank heist consultants, guys who were convicted bank robbers, come in on the set. I'm going to show you a clip of that a little later on, of how they came in and would walk them through all this to the point of total authenticity. That was the whole idea, was that they wanted this movie to be the realest heist movie you've ever seen. You know, that's
another great look too. I like Harry's look, like big Mickey Mouse hands, kind of gloves, and this green jacket. It's
they
great
look
look.
amazing.
I know the glasses.
That's a Halloween
They're fucking
costume.
balling, and then the ski goggles. Right here. This shot where he's not even looking at Harry, and he's going, "I'm not listening to you right now. I don't care what time it is." And look at the word is reckless. He's stealing, guys, but no, there's something. He's really, when people melt down and they lose it. Yeah, that's what we're watching. This is not a heist anymore.
And then it's just really like now we're blowing the clock by minutes now. Yeah. And it's just like the experience of watching this for the first time. I'll never. Oh,
look at right here. How about this? Talk about compulsive. And look what he's doing. He's not. He's sort of. He like took one piece of jewelry. He's looking for the other one. He's starting to give up, and he's going, that one's kind of like that one. And then he's just like, oh, forget it. Okay, let's go.
It is amazing how on edge it makes you feel.
Awful. Awful. Really and then of course, the fun continues because they go out the back door, and Gary Busey, another fine performance. Gary Busey's their getaway driver, and he's not there. You know why? It's still Dustin's fault because it took so long. And maybe Gary, who got scared, said, if we're exceeding like a minute and a half of the agreed time, the 3 minutes, whatever, like I got to get out of here because the cops are like, at the edge of the street here. You know what I mean? So it's still Dustin's fault that. Spoilers, big old fat spoilers, and that's how this show works. But he kills his two friends.
Yeah,
it's his fault. It's not Gary. You know what I'm saying, right, guys? It's not Gary Busey's fault that he drove away.
Yeah.
It's that the fucking guy lost his mind and compulsively was looking for a thing that wasn't there. So anyway,
yeah, it explains that, saying like, well, hey, it'd been 5 minutes of the alarm going off. Also, Dustin, they set it up. There's no question about that because like they set it up early on that like Dustin swapped out drivers, and got the less professional driver at the last minute and didn't tell him. So it's like double fuck ups,
I love when
that's a good point. Yeah, more fucking up.
I love that in that moment when Gary Busey is revealed as the backup driver and Harry Dean's like, wrong. You should have told me that was wrong. Anyway, speaking of Harry Dean,
I was going to say. Yeah. Can I actually, let's get to the clip, but I want to bring up another scene just to kind of put a button on this.
Sure.
But I forgot to mention or pull it for the show here, but there's such a great moment after the first heist of the two that we see in the film. The first one's a bank.
I have a clip.
And it's the two boys, but what I'm saying, it's not the heist itself. They get out and they get away on the heist on the first of the two. And they just drive away in some pickup truck or something, kind of like Cheech and Chong or something, like very 70s guys. And they literally have a bag full of money. And they just like, hey, man, look at it, smell it, 20s, 50s. And they're like shoving it in each other's faces. And they look like kids. And they've got the rock and roll buzz of pulling off a heist and getting away with it and fucking suddenly having bags of cash. And that's what I mean. That's that sexy thing. I mean, it's not just sexy. It also means that you just got all this money that you didn't earn, and so, and it's fun and it's exhilarating. It's like, hey, let's finish the night off with hookers and blow. It's that kind of thing. And Harry is such a great encapsulation of that. He can be cautious. He can be careful. He can be professional, but he also can get loose. And you know who's the bad influence? Dustin Hoffman's character.
I know. I have to just say that it's a major pet peeve of mine in movies when guys pull off heists and they just have to fling the money everywhere. Like they just have to like it's gonna fall out the window, it's gonna blow away, or like someone's gonna see it. That always bothers me. But no, right. You're totally right. But
you know what it is? Harry wants to be tempted and led astray by someone like his friend, the Dustin Hoffman character. That's so he has tension too. He goes back and forth. We see it.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that's brought up in the behind the scenes, which I want to show a clip of because you just mentioned the bank heist. I think this is a good segue into that, where they had the real bank robbers there as consultants on set talking to the actors about this, which is amazing. And they always, in this featurette, talk about the high. They talk about the high. It happens right when you leave the threshold of the door of the bank, is when that high just hits you like nothing else, man. And that's what we're trying to always recapture, and things like that. And so one of the guys talks about that in this little piece.
Okay, that's what we were getting at. All right.
Yeah.
The scene
But
you're
I just want to
watching
show
is
you
probably
this.
the most realistic bank robbery you'll ever witness, unless you are the victim of a crime.
So yeah, here we go. They're already trying to sell. This is a clip from the behind the scenes. They're trying to sell it as this is the most real bank heist you've ever seen. So this is behind the scenes footage of them filming the bank heist scene you just were talking about.
So cool. I've never seen it.
Yeah, which is so amazing.
Another great scene. You guys need to watch this movie immediately, everybody. If you haven't, or see it again.
Oh yeah,
it's
hopefully
really
they've
great.
seen it before they watch this. But yeah,
fair enough. Yeah, turn it off now. Turn our show off now and watch it. It's so good. Highest recommendation.
Check this out. So here's this. Oh God, he's so good in this. It's unbelievable. Here they are filming the scene. Right. So fucking cool to see this. But listen to this.
They have a bill in one of those things, and you trip it when you take it. You trip the alarm, so I really tripped the alarm. And those noises you heard was the cops, so we really did beat it. Because we were sitting here when they just arrived about 30 seconds ago. I tripped the alarm.
Their robbery lesson was
So
so well
Dustin is explaining that they actually tripped the, whatever thing in the drawer when he was pulling the money, and they were out the door before the real cops came to the set to be like, whoa, what's going on in this bank?
Right.
Like, I'm in the wrong business here.
Yeah.
Started out robbing banks.
So
Isn't that cool to just see Dustin Hoffman and Harry Dean Stanton together? I don't think that's happened
It's so cool.
otherwise.
The caliber of acting in this movie is so great, and so many great actors in one film. And I guess it is an actor's movie. The director, like a lot of guys in the 70s, is like a play, did a lot of plays, I guess. I don't really know that much about the director, but I did gather that about his career, that he was mainly like a theatrical guy. I love that era when people were like, the directors came from plays, and like there was so much focus on acting and rehearsing and really dealing with actors rather than it is just like, action. But there is cool action in this movie too.
Yeah, those two heists
stunt driving and stuff
are about as good as any heist scene ever.
It's like great stunt driving too. Like when the first sort of turns on Emmett Walsh, and there's an amazing shot of just the car veering up the hillside, like right off the highway, and then back down. It looks like the car's about to flip over, but it's just amazing stunt driving.
Well, the thing is, this film was birthed sort of oddly in that. Okay, so Uli Gaspard is the director of the film, and from what I understand, he was just simply a personal friend of Dustin Hoffman as much as anything. He wasn't a hire by the studio or anything like that. Like, they were buddies. They actually did the film. This is your favorite, Evan, I know. Who is Harry Kellerman, and why is he saying all these terrible things about me?
Yeah.
One of those great early 70s full sentence titles. No, but so that's them. That's a collab. That's Dustin's the lead, and he's basically Bob Dylan. And Gaspard was the director of that film. So they're like old friends from like maybe even like, off Broadway 60s world, that kind of thing. And so, but with Straight Time, it's like, so Dustin loved the book, wanted it, and he wanted to direct this film. Dustin Hoffman.
Love that.
And he started to direct this film. I don't know. I wonder what scenes, maybe it's out there, what scenes that he did kind of helm, and but then he quickly realized that simply he just couldn't wear the two hats and be like, rolling, and then like, oh my God, I'm the lead on camera here. So he said, I need someone, and so that's pretty much probably why that Gaspard was hired, because it's like he knows and trusts him, and they're like dear friends from what I understand.
Good collaborators.
Yeah, exactly.
The story I read was like, it was like the first day he ran, so Dustin kept fidgeting with the camera or something, and the studio was like, we're not going to be able to finish this movie. He didn't get any shots off.
We're running out of time.
Yeah.
A little thread there.
Can we
what I was going to say, just very briefly, just on Hoffman. as the such a force of the film. Just I had heard this anecdote. I can't remember. It was on TV when I was like a kid or something. It was about him being a control freak, legendary on the set, and how it was almost satirized, and there was a wink about his control freakiness with Tootsie. And there's this thing. If you know the film, the parole officer's busting his chops and locking him back up, and then he says, "Fuck this." Dustin just starts punching the shit out of him while the parole officer's driving them. And then he pulls him out. He pulls out the parole officer.
He bitch slaps him.
He sure does. And then he handcuffs him to, just a gate. A fence between one side of the freeway and the other. And Dustin Hoffman, from what I understand, what I've heard, is that this went on for like at least a whole day. He and the director, Gus Bard, were arguing about, let's just have the humiliated, his pants are down parole officer, handcuffed. And Dustin's like, no, he needs to be doubly humiliated. He needs to have his front junk exposed to one side of the freeway and his ass exposed to the other side of the freeway. Double humiliation. And the director was like, I don't know, let's just have his bare ass. And he's like, Dustin's like, no. And they're like, from what I understand, he blew up so bad it was like, it's like a legend to like, grips and ADs and stuff. Like, remember when he lost his mind and couldn't even talk to him about having to have double, you know what I mean? Like humiliation.
That's amazing.
It's just like,
and that's, of course, what you're saying
freak.
is like when Tootsie, he plays an actor who's so difficult to work with that literally nobody will hire him.
Right. And so so what I'm saying is that characterization in Tootsie is based on an anecdote like in the Straight Time one I just blabbed about. So it's so cool.
Okay, I gotta step in because I'm like Harry Dean over here with the clock. We got 20 minutes. Okay, 20 fucking minutes.
No. Yeah. More podcast. No.
I do want to circle back around to the Harry Dean clip, and I want us to also talk about the robbery clip too, in the store when he robs the store. So first, let's just circle back around to Harry Dean because we were kind of on that thread for a minute. Incredible, obviously, just one of the best actors ever. Amazing performance in this film. You were talking about it already, but let's get to it because it's so great.
This is right after he says to Dustin, like, "Man, get me out of here. I know you got a heist. Let's do something. This is a boring scene." Basically, what he's saying.
Yeah, and it's all in one shot too, which is fantastic too. That all plays out, just lets it breathe.
But then the shot reveals what it ultimately could be, right?
Yeah.
The way it evolves. It's so cool. It's good filmmaking,
Oh, it's amazing.
I love this. Yeah. And Harry's a legend. You don't always see Harry singing in a movie. Look at that. Oh, they cut to a crane shot. I forgot.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry. I thought it was all continuous. But that whole scene, frankly, it always makes me hungry. Those hamburgers
me
look
too.
good.
Yeah.
She's like got all the
anything
condiments.
on them.
Big onions.
It's just
They got condiments, onions. But yeah, it's pretty basic hot dog. Hamburger.
It does look good. That's very thick backyard.
It does.
Burger.
Those hamburgers, though.
I think I'm more looking for that kind of lifestyle than the Robin Banks on the road type.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, millions of people do that. You know what I mean? Millions of men, husbands do that. And he's just like, get me out of here. And I think a lot of guys, I guess, because I don't live in that world, but like, I guess they, it saps them, and like we were talking about all the pathologies of what Harry Dean was feeling when he's like, I got to get back, juice me in, let's do a heist. He's probably like feeling somewhat like a cuckold, somewhat, and he's not a big man with a gun and making shit happen and making cash fast. And it just feels like, so you're kidding me. I could make, in one day, in 1 hour, what I make in like 6 months at this job, for instance. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think also with this movie and that character, I think the character of choosing to put a character like that in this story is so amazing and so perfect to the themes of the movie, because I do think, and I've heard, Bunker talk about this too with his books, is like a big thing of him, with him in his work is establishing here's the square people versus the convict people, and to him, I think what really is very special about his work and really puts the nail on the head is the idea that, if you're a convict, if you've seen the other side, if you've seen that darkness, and you've touched that, like, you can't go back, and I think Harry Dean's character is perfect.
Why? Well, did he articulate that? Like, in what way can you not go back? Like, it sounds like we're doing a few things. Like, you miss it. Like, you tasted it before. I think you can't let go of it.
Well, I think what I was going to say is with Harry Dean's character, he's becomes disillusioned with this very artificial world that he's living in. It's like when you're on the inside, you see everything stripped away. Everything, it even mentions, Dustin's character kind of mentions that.
Oh, wow.
Everything's stripped away, so it's like this pure darkness that you're really experiencing. So then to come out of that and to have to reassimilate into this really artificial, just kind of like, picturesque, burgers and songs by the pool. It's just like, that's just not, you will never be that. You can't become that.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Because you've tasted like some heavy part of the world. Yeah. It's almost like being, in Vietnam or something.
Exactly.
Probably, not as harrowing, but it's more than, it's more related to Vietnam than it is to a suburban pool.
Well, both are both are the dehumanization, right? I mean, both touch on that, and I think that's what he's saying. And I think the fact that his character is here and just to him, this world is completely artificial, and it's so perfect, and almost in a comedic way, as you said, where he's just like, "Get me the fuck out of here," get me out. It's just it
is the first thing he says to Dustin when they're alone. It's the first thing, and it is almost funny, but also I'll shut up about it, but I think it also just in some measure too is just sexy and fun, whereas suburban pool life, it never is, ever.
Right. Right.
It's sexy and fun. Like, you're risking your goddamn life. Look, guys, we're three people who've never tasted any of that stuff. I don't know. All right, I won't speak for you two guys.
Yeah,
Marcus,
hey.
Looking at you. I don't know. I don't know about him, man. And I'm almost not kidding.
He's on the dark web over there.
There's whole years of Marcus I don't know about, Seriously. Me, I'm a Boy Scout. I'm so straight-laced and lame. But like, no, anyway, I'm saying, just speaking for the three of us, it's just like, or about the three of us, it's just like unrelatable. Like the pain, the psychological damage, but then also like the, I'm going to say this again. I'm going to say this every podcast. Be like the ace of spades, just pulling that Lemmy kind of lifestyle thing. You know what I mean? Like I might not see the sunset today. Like this morning might be my last morning.
Yeah,
let's fucking do this.
A lot of it is like,
right?
Whereas we as people are like living in this society that's completely fake for all of us, and like we're fighting against this biology and this history of ourselves as a species that used to go to war with each other and fight and kill animals and eat it, and
prove ourselves. You know what I mean?
Right. And instead you have to, like, in this world, you have to like be a fast typist, that's the job that Dustin's applying for, and check in with your parole officer, just like really boring, mundane kind of activities. And you can't even do that because the system, it's unfair to someone who has his background, So it's like, not only do we have it all inside of us, that we're like, that we have this biology of like of caveman past that we're trying to fit into this, like, somebody said like round peg in a square peg in a round hole.
Absolutely.
We are all that, but then he doesn't even have that choice of being able to force himself into it because the system is just set up against him. So
exactly, and that's what this is really about, And you don't see that portrayed much, in movies. Before this, I mean, maybe more so now, but I think that's what's really kind of cutting edge with this material, is that it really showcases that exactly. The system created this. Yeah.
I think just to get even heavier here for a second, I think the saddest scene of the film, because there's a lot of sadness, obviously, all throughout. Let's not get it twisted. Like, there's a great mix of colors, but it never gets too dark, strangely. But I found this the darkest scene in a way. He makes love with Teresa Russell, and the next morning, I think she blows off work or something, and he's just sitting there, and it's very tender, and he's touching her flesh, and it's been a long time for dude. I mean, however long it's been in jail and everything, and he's suddenly in a situation that he really wants to be in, and it's really nice. Not just the sex, but like it's a really nice, tender, kind of loving moment, and she seems really cool, and they're connecting, and it's nice, okay, right? It's a nice human connection, but it probably makes him feel worse because he knows that it's an anecdote and it's not connected to any kind of future with her or anybody else. And I think that it stings him probably in some way, and it makes him kind of sad, I guess. And I think that it's on his face a little bit in that scene.
He's staring
Help me out here.
into her. He's staring right into her nipple. It's like her nipple is like right up to his cornea, and then he's got like tears in his eyes because he's already jumped the parole. So it's over for him. He's on the run, but now he's finally had this intimate moment with Teresa Russell. Like you said, she's super fucking cool, and he's really into her, and she's great, and she's kind of willing to, play along for a little bit, but she's scared. But then they finally make love, and then he sees what this could be, and he's like, oh, maybe I did really fuck this up.
Exactly.
Right.
But that's another kind of taste.
The fact that he's at her breast, to me, it felt like, just like a symbol of like he's a baby and the motherly, like he's looking for some sort of that stability of his, of an innocence of his past. But I think the love interest is played really interesting in this film. Like they're not star-crossed lovers. They're not like so deeply, passionately in love. You never feel that. She actually says like, I'll stay with you as long as I can hack it, but then I'm going to leave. And he's like, I know. And I think like, he's trying to like you said, Tom, he's trying to give her that bracelet or whatever. Or he wants to give her nice things, but it's not like he's driven by his love. He's not motivated by his love in this movie, which I thought to be really nice, because usually in American films people are, they've got some sort of like love interest that's driving them, and it's a play. It's almost like more like she's a symbol or something,
she's
of like what that life could be,
Yeah, she's the connective thing to his humanity, that he's not, not to be overbearing.
And she's cool, but like he's not just like super in love. They're not in love with each other,
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that she's definitely symbolic in the ways we were talking about, representing the external world and his one little, tethered connection to it. But I think there's something else going on where maybe it's just the polar opposite of what you were saying before about how he's tasted the darkness, right? He's in that moment. That's not darkness. That's light. It's actually a really nice morning. It's like brightly lit bedroom, and the sun's shining. And I think that can be the most tragic thing you could imagine. Not like him getting just beaten up or something, by, his CEO or something like that. Yeah, that's darkness. We get it. You understand that. But it's almost the darkest when you have experienced the light and it's fleeting and it for a whole bunch of reasons. And it's never the same again. He has a perfect intimate moment. And it's not about her, but it's not about her either. It's about having a beautiful intimate experience, which we've all had, you know what I mean? And then it doesn't have a future. And that feels pretty brutal for him in the context of that scene happening in his life.
Should we try to fit in the awesome robbery scene of this junk store? We got 8 minutes left. Should we do it?
Yeah, and then maybe we should talk about GB maybe. A little bit.
Yeah. Wait, what was that?
Busey.
Busey.
Let's do a little Busey.
Yeah.
Well, this scene is just, really cool because, again, going back to the authenticity of, this world. And here he is. He's really, at this point in the movie, he's super fed up because he didn't get his guns, for that were promised to him when he's supposed to stick up a poker
Another almost like comedic situation where some guy left. So he's trying to stick up a fucking poker game in like Van Nuys. And the guy who's going to bring the guns just like shows up like as everyone is leaving the poker game. Again, it's almost comic. So yeah, he needs some guns. And because again, this is that weird thing where it's like he's not committing just a crime. Like, I'm going to steal some stuff. He's like, I got to make the investment. It's like it's very practical. I got to get the guns, and then I start really getting the ripoffs going. But what I like here is that this is a situation where you see the character, he's good. Like, because he fucks up a lot and fucked up things happen, but he knows how to tear down a wall
Yeah, he
and get
does.
through it. He's like, all right, I got some more bricks. Like, oh wait, I need one more brick. This is not his first rodeo, as they say. And he knows what to do, how to do it. He knows the weak maybe spot of a wall. You know, did he like hit it? Maybe
Yeah.
like find what sounds a little hollow, you know, that kind of thing. And you know, in respect to him, it's like he's doing what he does, and he's good because you
This is
don't
him at
always
work.
see him. Yes,
Yeah.
he's putting in work, and he's like, look, he's like, I need to break it away, just a smidge, and we're in business. You know.
Yeah, it's
great.
it's so amazing, and obviously this shot here too that's coming up is so awesome, and of him just
We play it through. I don't know if it's played through.
oh, okay, well it's not.
I don't think that's
Yeah, but just
You have to watch.
awesome.
I would just put on the whole movie. You know?
Yeah. All right, I know you guys want to talk about Gary Busey. I just wanted to also quickly mention the fact that, sorry, hopping back, just that Eddie Bunker's in the movie too. I feel like we should just say that really fast. And this is just, it's cool that they brought him in
I
for a
was just
cameo.
about to ask that. Yeah.
Yeah, so here's Eddie Bunker, or sorry, Edward. I don't know what you go by, Mr. Bunker, but he's in the movie. And this is cool too because, you know, he really would go on to kind of develop a lot of relationships in Hollywood and kind of be, you know, hobnobbing with a lot of these Hollywood types. I mean, he's in Reservoir Dogs as Mr. Blue.
Some of you may recognize him. Yeah.
Yeah.
From Reservoir Dogs. And you know what's funny? You see him, and you know, a lot of non-actors.
He's like Mr. White, I think, right?
Mr.
Is that
Blue.
it? Yeah. Yeah, I think. Oh. But you know, it's funny. You know, you see non-actors sometimes walk in, and sometimes when they're like playing themselves, like they're really stiff. But you can see this guy has charisma, man, and he knows how to tell a joke and whatnot. Like he has some street charisma. You know, you can feel it.
Yeah, and he also like really forged a relationship, I think, with John Voight, you know, connecting our other episodes together. And I think they really got along. And then, of course, Bunker has the amazing scene in Runaway Train, which I could do a fucking hour on. But he's in there too, and actually, you know, during the prison stabbing sequence is incredible. But
Right.
so it's cool that he kind of had that, you know, he kind of had all these opportunities in Hollywood to get straight.
Yeah. Yeah. After this film, yeah, you know,
Yeah.
it really gave him another life.
That's like Trejo, right? He was like that too, like where he was actually like a career criminal who
Right.
Totally.
We got a
became a
second
boxing
chance at
coach or
life.
something. Yeah.
I got stomach.
Now he's got owns a bunch of taco restaurants.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I guess, yeah, him writing the book did it. What do we have? How much time we got? 3 minutes?
We got four.
I can't
4
see
minutes.
the clock.
Yeah, 4 minutes.
4 minutes, man. Well, okay. Here's my take on it. There's another great performance. It's Gary Busey. I would like to help in the beginning of the redemption of Gary Busey. He's been a punchline 30 years, 25 years.
I know.
And yeah, and it's just, I mean, he had a motorcycle accident and whatever. I don't know. But he's a joke. But he used to be an actor, and he could be really interesting and effective and had this kind of great goofy charm. He did Buddy Holly. He got an Oscar nomination for that, actually. But I like him in this film because in his role, he's kind of a fuck up, you know, an on and off drugs, youngish guy.
It's not a huge stretch for him, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know what his life was like then, actually. But like, what I'm saying is, you know, he's kind of like a young guy. Like these guys are older mostly in the film, and he's just young. He has a drum kit. Like I kind of want to start a band, and you know, and like so he's like, you know, younger and like more like 60s, 70s kind of guy, and that means, you know, drugs pretty much. But he has a little family, and there's a great early performance because his family is Kathy Bates. And she does a really nice job. And there's a little scene with her and Dustin. And his son is actually his real son. What's his name? Busey.
Jake Busey.
How could I forget? No, but I don't know. But of course, this is maybe just one of the big top 3 huge tragedies about how this all winds up. You know, because he's a bit of an oaf, Gary Busey. He's just a big old teddy bear kind of thing. And he doesn't have a mean bone in his body. But his guts get full of lead, man, and it's harsh.
They actually call him that, the bear. It's all about bear hugs, and you know,
right,
they
right.
do really
Get big bear hug.
Bear hug, and it's just an ice cold moment. One of the last scenes in the film, he gives him a bear hug, and he shoots Dustin shoots Busey because he's committed, you know, because he's committed the crime of leaving the scene of a 2 minutes late heist. And he gets, you know, Harry Dean Stanton killed. You know, that's in the mind of Dustin Hoffman, and it's terrible and it's ugly. and it's just a waste of life. And you know that this guy's family is like feet away from the scene.
I know.
So I don't know if you guys had any thoughts.
And it's Dustin's fault just as much as it is his. And
No,
that's what we were saying.
Dustin's fault.
Yeah, and that he meets out the justice and then kind of just lambs it, you know.
But it
So
ain't
yeah,
no justice.
it makes him sort of it does make him cross that line a little bit.
Pretty sour
in terms of like irredeemable.
Yeah.
You know,
The
and
shit's sour.
it's unresolved too. We don't see him like pay for that crime or anything.
No,
you know,
so
which is sort of interesting too. The movie hangs that way.
Yeah, it has that that ambiguity at the end where he's in some border town or whatever, and he sends Teresa Russell back to L.A. and then he kind of waits and drives south, and then he
Just hits the road.
Hits the road, and then his mugshots kind of evoke the fact that he's going to get apprehended at some point. But
I can predict the future.
Okay,
he commits a petty crime. He gets caught. Fingerprints. All that stuff comes up against him that we've seen in the film, and he's never getting out of jail.
What is it about him that like it makes him such a bad criminal, you know, and all this? Is it just that he's just so antsy, and he keeps saying like one big heist and I can join society, or I can it'll change everything, you know?
He can be really
is that
good.
what it is? He's just so antsy and wants it.
No,
Wants it
I think it's
quickly
you can
and
only
first
one or
heist
the other.
went-
everything up.
The first heist went swimmingly. The bank heist. Again, I'm going to reiterate it. He has a moment. He has a compulsive episode on the second heist. That's not normal, heist stick-up guy. He's a good criminal. He's fine.
It's because
People let
he's
him down.
tasted both.
No. We saw that he was going to rob the 20 seconds. He was going to rob the
Oh my God!
the poker game. You know,
No,
he was
but it wasn't
in
his
there
fault.
with like his little.
That's not his fault.
wasn't his
Sorry.
fault.
No, Marcus,
fault.
stop. He tasted both lives. He tasted the life of having the bank robbery. He fell in love with the girl. He realized he could never have it. That drove him nuts.
8
and the
seconds.
compulsion spiraled into it. I just want to say the end of the book, it ends with him saying he's going to turn himself in, and then the last two
1
words of the
second.
book are "fuck it." So
The last words are "fuck it," and that's what our last words are, right?
yeah,
Fuck it.
exactly. All right,
guys.
everybody.
Virtual high fives.
Yeah, we did it. Straight time in 1 hour wasn't enough. But
Not even close. What's the next hour, bruh?
So yeah, we're gonna start getting the habit of announcing what the next hour is gonna be. So our next fucking hour, I'm really excited about this. It's gonna be from 1988. We're going to the 80s. Our first foray into the 80s. Directed by Harold Becker. Everybody, we're gonna do James Woods and Sean Young in The Boost.
Yes.
So get your pre-watch ready. Take your notes. And join the discussion.
And cut up some big fat rails for booze.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what are
it's
we
gonna
gonna
be
do?
fun.
We're gonna a Monster Energy. I'm thinking maybe it's time to drink a Monster, like a 5-hour energy or something, or
I'll have some acai
maybe-
berry.
another coffee.
Acai berry. Yeah, I'll take some vitamin B5. Yeah, and I love the tagline. How far would you go to keep your edge? So that's what we'll be looking at in next week's episode. 1 fucking hour on The Boost. And now, of course, everybody, your moment of zen. And so long, everybody. Take care.
Fuck it.
In 20 years in prison, I have never heard a convict say that it was morally wrong to kill.
Motherfucking goddamn orange peel beef.